G'day everyone, Dan here and welcome to North Queensland Barbecue and Brewing. Today I'm going to talk about something I don't think we talk about enough in Australia, and that's the fact that for a lot of us doing low and slow barbecue, what sort of timber do we use? And you'll have to forgive the light. Unfortunately at the moment it's raining outside, the light's a bit awkward, so I've got the smoker set up under the house here in Townsville. We're copping a bit of a downfall for the first time in the wet season. But if you're like me and you watch a lot of videos coming from the United States, you're going to realise they use a lot of things like hickory, post oak, mesquite, all the different timbers they have over there that we can't really use in here in Australia because we just don't have them growing. In Northern Australia you're pretty restricted to what you can get. I dare say, well no, in the southern states you can pick up like cherry wood, apple wood and things like that quite readily because we do have apple orchards and cherry orchards and other fruit orchards down there. In Northern Australia we're kind of restricted to what we can buy from our local shops. So we're restricted to lump charcoal and we're restricted to ironbark. So what I'm running my offset smoker in 95 or 99.9% of the time is ironbark. Now ironbark's a brilliant timber. It really produces a great flavour in barbecue. It produces a great flavour in your briskets, your beef ribs, pork ribs, roast lamb, you name it, I've done it in here, and it does produce a great flavour. It's a good burning hardwood and it has a very distinctive taste. Now that's not restricting us just to using ironbark. We can find other timbers out there. So for instance, I have a custard apple tree growing out the back and they call them sweet apples in the United States. So I can use custard apple wood, but the problem is I've got to grow a lot of it and I've got one tree. I've cut a heap of branches off it and pruned it down, but I'm waiting for those to cure and basically dry out. And I left them out in the rain, so now they're wet, so that's going to be a fair while away yet. One thing we can also use here in Northern Australia is lychee. So lychee wood, being a fruit wood as well, is also really good for doing low and slow. So you've got to start to do your research. Now mango wood, also really prevalent here in Northern Australia. I have read different things and I've never actually used it. So I've heard the sap in it, unless it's completely dry, the sap can ruin your meat. It can add a really kind of bad flavour to it. But I have heard that we can use mango wood to smoke meats with, or use to burn and stick burner in your offset, like I'm using ironbark here now. But I just wanted to do a quick video on that, the timbers we use. And when we're restricted to basically living in Australia, we only have certain options. Now to say if I wanted to hickory smoke through this, what I can do is we can buy obviously bags. Now this here is a bag of cherry wood I ran out of hickory, but you can actually use hickory smoke in your offset for the first hour or two. But the problem is you're burning wood in here. So how do we use hickory? Well, it becomes really expensive. So you're obviously going to get some lump charcoal, bring this up to temperature. I'm running this at about 130 degrees Celsius at the moment because I'm doing a 12-hour cook currently on a brisket. So it's looking quite pleasant. Anyway, what we can do is we can run lump charcoal or heat beads. So for instance, the firebox here, I can run some lump charcoal down this end and maybe put 4 to 5, 6 heat beads down the opposite end of the firebox here. So I can run the heat running in here, which is just lump charcoal, but then I can run 6 heat beads down this end, down the other end, close to the air vent, and I can place a chunk of hickory, I can place a chunk of cherry, whatever timber you want, mesquite, pecan, you know, we can do it that way. So that's how we can achieve smoking with hickory, or putting hickory smoke through the cook chamber for the first 2 hours of the smoking process. Then what I'll do, because that smoke should have absorbed within the first, and you're using probably 3, 4, 5 chunks of timber as well, because you need to, you're wanting to get the smoke flavour into the meat. You can burn hickory chunks for the first couple of hours, but you'll go through nearly a full bag, and at $20 a bag, it's going to cost a lot of money to do so. So you're better off just running some heat beads down there to produce enough heat to smoulder your hickory chunks, and then run it through. It is a bit annoying that we have to do things like that, but it is what it is. So another timber that we can use in Australia as well is macadamia. Now I know a lot of people down south, I actually bought a heap of chunks back from my wife's grandparents' farm. They grow macadamia trees all over their farm over in the Lockyer Valley west of Brisbane. And so we're able to cut off big chunks of macadamia, bring it home, and then I can burn logs of macadamia. But Northern Australia, once again, I'm not able to get that sort of timber. So it depends really on where you're living in Australia, what trees are available to you, what fruit trees you can grow. Like I said, down south, where it frosts, you can get your apples, you can get your cherries. Whereas up north here, you don't have that luxury. So you're either importing smoking timber or you're using ironbark. Now, I'm going to say this, ironbark, from what I've done, and I don't have the experience like they do in America with post oak, so everything I've learned about low and slow has been through watching YouTube, learning through great barbecue channels like, you got Malcolm Reed with How to Barbecue Right, you've got, what's his name? There's a lot of good content anyway. Mad Scientist Barbecue, you know, Chud's Barbecue, just all these brilliant channels out there to watch. So, and they're using post oak and different things which to do traditional American style or Texas style, what they call Texas style barbecue. As we don't have that luxury, like I said, ironbark. Now this ironbark here, if you go to any good decent butcher, you'll be able to buy bags of really good quality ironbark. It'll probably set you back about $25 for 20 kilos. Or if you know someone who's growing ironbark and processing it themselves, you can go through them. Especially if you're living in the city or in town like I am here in Townsville. I go to Bunnings and I get their pizza wood. You can get the normal firewood, it's $18 for a 20 kilo bag. And the trick is with that, and I actually bought a bag, I'm using that now, is they come in fairly big logs. So you've got to split it up early, let it season for a couple, 2 to 3 weeks, and let it dry out a bit more, and then you can use it in your smoker. The pizza wood is 15 kilos and it's about the same price. So you're actually getting 5 kilos more of timber with the normal firewood as opposed to the pizza wood. But I find the pizza wood's a lot better quality, less knots, but it depends. You're going to save money in the long run if you split it yourself and process it yourself, and then let it season. So with this ironbark, like I said, I cut mine into chunks like that. Now you can see my hand, and I'm running a chunk about that big. That's what, 30 mil, 20 to 30 millimeters, or about an inch by an inch, and that's what I'm using. And the length there is, 30 centimeters or a foot. So I've cut a heap up, and what I do to season, to get them going in the firebox, because hardwood, as we all know, being Australian, takes a while to burn, or can take a while to light up, is you've got a couple of options. You can, as I've got here, the timber sitting on the top of the firebox, so it's heating up as it's going. I'm running the fire bed closer to this end here today, so it's sort of sitting there so I can keep the temperature down up here. But if you're running it closer here because you're trying to run at a hotter temperature, you can actually put a couple of pieces in against the side and lean them up in there just before you're going to put them on for 5 to 10 minutes, and they'll get really hot. So as soon as you place them on that fire bed, they're going to instantaneously pretty much catch on fire. But you'll heat them up enough that within, 45 seconds to a minute, they're going to light up. As you know, this will throw, when it's burning, it's throwing a reasonably decent smoke. And it will burn clean. But to get it, I would wait when you put it on your charcoal bed for it to catch it light before you close the lid. On this Pro Smoke, I just adjust here, it's a bit hot at the moment, the drawer down the bottom, just to let some more air flow through if I need to. But anyway, that's a bit of a spiel on the type of timber we're using to barbecue here, and especially for my fellow Australians that are barbecuing here in Australia. Ironbark is exceptional timber. It burns really well. It does a really nice flavour, but unfortunately we're kind of limited. So once again, if you are down south, you can get cherry and apple wood from apple orchards or cherry orchards or any fruit orchards which you can burn in a smoker, or macadamia. Try it. Otherwise, we're kind of limited. So yeah, quick 5-minute spiel on the timber we use in smokers and what I specifically use here in northern Australia, in North Queensland. So until next time, guys, take care.